Once I paid off my husband's debts, he stopped coming home completely. I genuinely wondered why at first, and I became quite worried about where he was and whether he was okay or not. It got to a point where I was considering filing a missing persons report to the police. But then, a certain truth came clear, and all remaining doubt, and I knew exactly what he was doing. You're having an affair, aren't you?
Ah, shit, the cat's out of the bag, it seems. But yeah, I'm having an affair. I've moved in with her. It served her purpose. Now I have no use for you anymore.
I served my purpose. And what, pray tell, did you think I ever was to you? I'm paying off your debt, for crying out loud.
What? Debt? Never heard of anything like that before. I don't know jack shit about that. Where's the proof?
You're a fricking asshole. Okay, fine. I'm done with you. And mark my words, this mistake will cost you everything. This is the story of how my husband, whom I'd known for more than half of my life, betrayed me in the cruelest way imaginable, and how a single, simple fact that I decided to tell him rendered his idea that everything was going according to his own plan to ruin, dragging him down into hell along with it. My name is Morgan. I'm a 36-year-old office worker. I used to live with my husband, Edmund, who is the same age as me and works in another office. He and I went to the same university together, and we've known each other since we were students. Not only that, we've dated, broken up, and gotten back together several times over the course of nearly a decade. So I think it's pretty safe to tell you I thought we knew each other very well, because we kind of had a sort of inseparable relationship. Every time we broke up, while it did feel good to be away from each other for the first little while, after maybe a month or two, the longing for each other gradually grew. It was like there was a cursed little rubber band that bound the two of us together, and its pull always brought us back. I was the steady-go-lucky type in the relationship, and he was the positive, confident type. I married Edmund knowing all of his strengths and weaknesses. Little did I know he turned out to be more of an asshole than I expected, and I could have never imagined I would suffer terribly pretty often. We used to live in my company's housing complex, which was honestly uncomfortably old, about 30 years old. Hey, Ed, we can't live in company housing forever, so it's time to start thinking about where we're going to move to.
Why? This place is cheap, isn't it? It gives us everything we need.
But it's company housing. If I have to take a leave of absence, I won't be able to live here during that time.
A leave of absence. Morgan, darling, are you gonna take some time off from work?
No, not yet. But we might have a baby in the future, and then we both know that I won't be able to keep working when I'm pregnant. If I have to leave the company housing after that, I have a hunch it's going to be a big hassle. We have to think about it right now.
But having a baby is still a long way off into the future, right?
Ed, honey, I'm 36 years old. It's not like I can have a baby literally any time during my life.
Really? Is that true?
Edmund was never good at thinking about the future like this, so I had to stand firm. I thought it would be appropriate for us to buy a condominium, given our nice financial situation, in order to save up the money. I say we start cutting a few corners to economize. My husband, who was worse at saving money than a sea urchin, immediately started complaining.
Hey, hang on. I can't go on like this with this kind of allowance every month.
Why not? If you save money properly, like an adult human being, you should be able to make ends meet.
You make more than I do, right? That's why you have more breathing room, so to speak. But you know I can't afford it.
I'm currently living off of less than you, Edmund, because I get paid more. I put more money into our savings.
In any case, I can't go on like this.
Come on, Edmund. What the hell are you spending your money on? You need to think about your financial future.
What am I spending my money on? Why, normal, everyday things, of course. It's your fault for suddenly starting to talk about saving money.
I began to question my husband's spending habits. Edmund is certainly not the type of person who tries to save money, nor is he the kind of person who spends an ungodly amount of money on stuff like clothes, accessories, and brands. If he didn't waste money, he should be able to save more without breaking a sweat. So why was he claiming he couldn't survive with an admittedly decent allowance for the month? Anyway, the rent and utility for this company housing are paid out of my salary. So you should put a certain amount of money into our savings, Ed. If you can't do that, then pay me half of the cost to live here, and I'll put the money you give me into our savings. You can choose, but you have to choose quickly. I got fed up with my husband's unwillingness to help me save money, and I stood my ground, adamantly stating I was going to get him to help me one way or another. He thought about it for a short while, but then his face lit up, as though he had an idea. I immediately had a terrible feeling in my stomach. I was so right.
Yeah, that's an amazing idea. I'll just get a new job that pays me better than I do now.
Wait, huh?
It's my company's fault for not paying me enough. If I move to a better job that pays more, I can save more money.
Wait a minute. That implies you're quitting your current job?
Of course it does. If I don't quit my job, I can't change jobs now, can I?
It was even worse than I imagined. Edmund was actually serious about the fact that he was quitting his job in order to find a job that offered something better than his current salary. I strongly objected to this unmitigated disaster, but he didn't listen to me at all and quickly quit his job.
All right, now that that's out of the way, let's find me a better job. I don't want to spend the rest of my life on such a stupid salary.
Don't tell me you haven't found another job yet.
It can't be that stupid, right, Morgan? I quit my job yesterday. Of course I'll start looking for a new job today.
Edmund, you usually tell your employer long before you resign that you are resigning at least a few months beforehand. And by the time you do resign, usually you've already decided on a new job. You can't just quit your job without planning ahead, honey.
Shut up. You sound just like my boss. And they're all the most self-centered, most annoying people in the whole goddamn world.
You can't find a job easily in these times of recession, though.
What are you talking about? You haven't even tried to look for another job. And already you're criticizing my genius idea. Mark my words, darling. I'll find a better paying job. By then it'll be too late for you to envy me.
Up until that instant, I'd always thought of my husband as someone optimistic and positive. But he was simply devoid of a proper brain that functioned in planning ahead and getting things organized for a big change in his life. I finally realized that. He then began to spend all of his time on the phone searching for job applications. I said to him, "Do you really think you're gonna find a new job? I don't think searching on work-searching apps and websites are gonna help you very much. You should go to a public employment security office to broaden your search area, no?"
Don't worry about it, Morgan. I'm applying to places that have good conditions, and it'll only be a matter of time before I find the perfect one. By the way, can you lend me some money?
What? What do you mean?
The day I have to pay off my credit card debt is coming up.
How much do you owe on the credit card?
About $2,000 this month, I think. It's a little less than usual, huh?
I was absolutely mortified. That amount of money was a gargantuan amount to waste in a single month. And if it's only for this month, and if it's a little less than usual, does that mean I still have to give him more every month? Shocked and utterly speechless with what I just heard, I remained silent and only snapped back to reality when Edmund began to get irritated.
Hey, say something. I need the money ASAP.
As soon as possible? So, you mean that you don't have enough in your own account to pay off your debts right now?
I'm looking for a job right now, so it's only natural you should be the one to pay off my stuff.
I instantly resented his selfishness. You had the audacity to quit your job when you had so much debt. Why are you being so infuriating, so extemporaneous?
Oh, damn. That's a word you never hear every day. But anyway, my credit card debt is precisely why I'm trying to change jobs. I'm trying to get a better paying job so I can pay him off with more breathing room.
You're a freaking idiot. You should at least keep your job until you pay off your debt.
I've already quit my job, Morgan. Don't have a choice now. Now shut the frick up and let me try to find a good job.
Why don't you just tell me how much debt you owe? Then we'll figure out what to do. And then my husband reluctantly confessed the details of his debts, and I realized just how tremendously unreliable and downright scandalous this man truly was. The total amount of debt he shouldered was approaching 50 grand. My mind went blank. I quickly deposited $2,000 into his bank account in time to pay the credit card bill for the month. But this was only a temporary solution. If we didn't get rid of his debt somehow, he would go bankrupt. In between working hours, I made an appointment at a free consultation service by lawyers and gathered information about debt management. More specifically, Edmund was shouldering a large amount of credit card debt from multiple financial institutions. Whenever he couldn't make his payments on time, he would borrow money from another financial institution to pay off the debt he owed another institution. Rinse and repeat for perhaps a couple of years, and lo and behold, you find yourself drowning in $50,000 worth of debt. The mind-boggling stupidity of his irresponsibility gave me the kind of rage that made me want to brutally mutilate a stuffed crocodile and watch it burn to cinders in the fiery inferno of an incinerator. But I let my grotesque desire go and proceeded to research Edmund's situation. That's when I noticed there was something suspicious about the way he was spending his money. Many of the payments were for pretty expensive purchases. They were payments to department stores and specialty stores that sold luxury goods and branded accessories. I began to wonder what exactly he was buying, since he never seemed to own such expensive belongings. Then one day, perhaps a month after he quit his job, Edmund marched right up to me with a large smile on his face and told me that he had found a job.
Finally found a good job, Morgan. I'm really sorry for making you worried.
Good for you, honey. What kind of job is it?
Well, it's in the domain of sales. But I'll have to take some training to get a certification required for the job. Morgan, it pains me to say this. I'm really sorry about the situation, but I need you to pay for my training.
Oh, it costs money?
If I don't invest in myself, I'll never get a job. And if I go bankrupt, my job contract will be eliminated immediately. So I need you to pay off my debt for now. I promise you, I'll pay you back.
I thought that if Edmund's job contract was terminated because of his debt, it would spell disaster for both of us. After considering our future together, I came to the conclusion that I should support him now, when he needed me most. All right, I understand. But I'm looking into various ways to repay the debt, and I need you to sign some documents.
Documents? What for?
Well, it seems that your debts have been over-demanded, if you know what I mean. Basically, by the time you pay off your debt, we pay off your debt, you would have paid quite a bit more than you initially owed. It's basically sneaky theft, and I heard that the debt can be reduced so that this doesn't happen.
Reduced? My debt'll be reduced? That's amazing. How much will it be reduced?
That's something I'm gonna have to look into now. But don't let this calm you down. You still have a lot of debt on your shoulders, and if you keep wasting money like this, you're gonna be in debt for a long time to come, maybe even your whole life. You might even get your children involved, and I know that's the last thing you want. So I need you to promise that you won't go into debt anymore.
Of course, I promise, Morgan. I'll work my hardest from now on and do what I can to repay you. Oh, and about the training fee, it'll cost about $5,500. And they want me to pay soon, so do what you must, all right? Thanks so much, darling.
I transferred the training fee to my husband's account that very day. As for paying off the debt, I asked Edmund to fill out the necessary paperwork and set up a repayment plan. He signed the forms without even looking at them. I made him promise to pay me back the debt he owed me with money from his monthly paycheck. Now, we won't have to file bankruptcy. Good luck with your new job, honey.
Of course, thank you, Morgan.
I'll use my savings to pay off this debt of yours. Edmund, so just make sure that on every payday, you give me the money you owe me.
You have my word. You can count on me.
And then he went to the training program and got the job. I was relieved that he and I were over a great obstacle in our married life together. And because I was granted a few days of paid leave, I could finally relax a little at home to recover from such a stressful time. But it didn't take long for me to find out that he had lied to me. I had been completely deceived. On his payday, I waited for him to repay me the money he owed me, as promised. But after that day, he never came back home. I tried to contact him and he wouldn't answer my calls nor read my text messages. His work phone number was not even in use just yet. I was so confused as to what was going on, and I was beginning to wonder if I should file a missing persons report to the police. That's when I received a package in the mail. It was a thin, large box, elaborately enveloped in yellow wrapping paper, and it had a large red heart on the front of it. Why did I have the hunch the heart did not particularly mean what it represented? Inside the box was 2 envelopes, and I opened the smaller one first. It was a letter and it was written in Edmund's handwriting. It read, "I'm divorcing you. Please don't look for me. Goodbye." My eyes widened and I ripped open the second envelope, only to discover divorce documents neatly stacked inside a plastic folder. The documents had already been signed by Edmund, and the handwriting matched the letter, which meant it was definitely his handwriting too. He had unmistakably signed divorce documents. I was utterly shell-shocked. So this was how he was going to treat me? The woman who had supported him through hell and beyond as his wife? I could never forgive him for stabbing me in the back so brutally. So I made up my mind to take sweet revenge on the fricking bastard. I went through all of his personal belongings that were left at my home. I found some receipts, some of which were for women's luxury bags and accessories, and others were for hotels. I remembered that when I had looked up the detailed breakdown of Edmund's debts earlier that month, I had found the name of a store that sold these kinds of items. I became convinced that my husband was having an affair, but there were 2 problems. 1, I had no solid evidence that proved he was, so I couldn't file a case to court just yet. And 2, where the frick was he? I couldn't do anything if I don't know where he was. I thought desperately about his problems with debt and the affair, feeling sick at heart, and for a few days, I was feeling quite depressed. But eventually, my husband contacted me himself.
Hey, how are you doing?
Just what do you think you're doing with those damn divorce documents? You're having an affair, aren't you? I told him, and he readily admitted it.
Ah, shit. Cat's out of the bag, it seems, but yeah. Having an affair. And I moved in with her. You served your purpose. Now I have no use of you anymore.
I served my purpose? And what, pray tell, do you think I ever was to you? I'm paying off your debt, for crying out loud.
What? Debt? Never heard of anything like that before. I don't know jack shit about that. Where's the proof?
You're a fricking asshole. Okay, fine. I'm done with you. And mark my words, this mistake will cost you everything.
Yeah, you're done with me. That's so awesome. Don't contact me again, all right? Oh, get those divorce papers submitted to City Hall ASAP. Thank you very much.
Oh, I already did a long time ago, bucko. I don't want to get caught up in paying off your fricking debts anymore.
Hey now, wait a damn minute. I thought you were paying off my debt.
Oh, didn't you just say you didn't know anything about the debt?
No, I just got approved for another credit card. I was able to pay for something using it, so I'm sure you're paying off the debts right now, right?
My husband had applied for another credit card debt without any sign of recognizing his past mistakes. About that, I only made this month's payment by sending money to your account. The debts you claim I'm now paying off for you are still being deducted from your own bank account, Ed. I'm not paying jack shit for you. I'm just sending you money every month. I even had you sign the paperwork.
But that paperwork was for you to shoulder the debt, isn't it? Like the debt was passed from my name to being in yours, didn't it?
What the hell are you talking about? That paperwork was merely a decree for a power of attorney for me to file a claim for overpayment on your behalf. Oh, and by the way, the overpayment was $10,000. It's a good thing I consulted a lawyer, huh? I'm going to use it to pay back all the money I transferred to your account and all the money you frickin' fleeced me out of, like all the training fees and stuff like that.
Hey, that's my money. Give it back.
Well, good luck paying off another 40 grand in debt.
Wait a minute, I already borrowed another 10 grand already.
Well, that's tough for you. Looks like you're back to 50 grand in debt after all. Even after everything we worked out, you still found a way to ruin things for yourself now. I genuinely think you need welfare eventually. Oh, and by the way, there's also the divorce alimony you owe me to think about. May I suggest you let that bitch of yours know that I'm also going to be demanding alimony from her, too? Thank you, good sir. I hung up the phone and I had nothing more to say to my exasperating ex-husband. To recap, I was only depositing money into his account so that he could pay off the debt that was always in his name. So evidently, that meant that if I stopped making those payments, of course it would all come down to him. I was going to give him the money he needed for as long as it took to pay off the debt, as long as he kept his job and paid me back from his salary. But I made the mistake of trusting that dastardly scumbag. I later got 2 lump sum alimony payments from him and his adulterous partner, and used the money as a down payment to buy a condo. Compared to the company housing, it was much bigger and more comfortable and easier to live in. And I could concentrate more on my work because I now had a home that was a lot more like a home. Edmund ended up going bankrupt due to his own original debt coupled with the alimony he owed me. And now he can't use credit cards for the rest of his life. The woman whom he was having an affair with kicked him out of the house because he could no longer pay her bills. And he is now working multiple day jobs to make ends meet. I heard that he even applied for welfare because he was simply so childishly selfish and did not want to work. But his application was rejected because he appeared to be young, healthy, and strong. As for me, because of my whole experience with his debt problems and his infidelity, I have learned the horror of a human destroying oneself through lust and greed. I've had enough of marriage, and for the time being, I'm gonna live peacefully, work my job, and enjoy the freedom of being single.